Testimony is expected to resume today in the trial of a Michigan high school shooter's father. James Crumbley's trial comes weeks after his wife Jennifer was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for failing to address her son's mental health and allowing him access to the gun used in the attack. Yesterday, prosecutors played a recording of a 911 call by James in an attempt to show jurors how he quickly determined his son might be the shooter. James Crumbley has pleaded not guilty. Let's bring in ABC's Trevor Ault from Pontiac, Michigan, along with ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more on this. Trevor, what can we expect to happen in court today?
Well, Diana, I expect we're going to see more of a rerun compared to what we saw in Jennifer Crumbley's trial. What we've already seen is the prosecution calling the exact same witnesses that they called in making their first arguments that led to Jennifer Crumbley's conviction. First, a teacher who was wounded in that shooting, painting a picture of the terror that day. Now, a forensic analyst from the Secret Service is on the stand talking about the investigation, all of the messages that they dug up between James Crumbley, Jennifer Crumbley, and all the people they were talking to, and also the fact that those messages were deleted after the fact. But so far, it's been almost identical to how that first trial played out. In fact, the only major news that's broken so far in this trial actually has to do with James Crumbley and his actions in jail. What we've learned from law enforcement is that they say allegedly James Crumbley recently has been sending some threatening messages from jail, both on a device and also over the phone. So now he's had his communication limited. He is only allowed now to talk with his attorney. Now, we don't know who he was making those threats to, allegedly. What we had heard from Jennifer Crumbley's trial is she testified that the couple had not spoken to each other since they were arrested, and they've also been kept separate from their son. So it's not clear who those messages might have been sent to, but that's been the major development so far, as in court, the witnesses that we have seen have been identical to the trial of Jennifer Crumbley. Diane.
Brian, what do you make of these new allegations against James Crumbley that he made these threats from jail over phone and email? Could that impact this trial?
It could, but at this point, we're not seeing the prosecution ask for these statements to be admitted into evidence for the jury to hear. The prosecution would have to have some theory that's not just that James Crumbley is a bad person, an aggressive person, something to show, for example, that his actions were a lack of mistake, or that he is now confessing or showing that he did have knowledge of red flags, and he may be admitting that he shouldn't have passed along the gun to someone or threatening something along those lines. If I'm not seeing any charges or any evidence coming forward, this might be separate and apart from the actual case, and might just be an issue of safety, limiting his communications to a way that other people are not threatened for separate issues other than what he's being tried for.
Trevor, yesterday the judge also ruled that text messages between the shooter and his mother could not be introduced as evidence. Does that impact the prosecution's strategy here and how they're trying to go about this trial?
I mean, it makes at least a little bit of an impact, Diana, not having that piece of evidence. We know in Jennifer Crumbley's trial, when those text messages were admitted, the shooter at one point had talked about how he was seeing demons or spirits at home, and he texted his mother about that, which she did not reply to, and then he sent a follow-up message saying, can you at least text back? Now, the prosecution used those texts as evidence that he might have been reaching out for help and that his mother, at least over text messages, was ignoring it, and that was part of the gross negligence, ignoring the signs of their son's deteriorating mental health. They won't be able to use those messages in making that case against James Crumbley. Instead, what it looks like they're going to do is focus on the security of the weapon, how James Crumbley specifically made the purchase, how his own wife said it was his job to keep it secure. And then, of course, we were waiting to see what text messages he might have sent his father that could have had an impact, both for their relationship and for this trial, Diane.
Brian, they also played a 911 recording from the day of the shooting where James Crumbley frantically says that he has a gun missing from his house and he thinks his son took it. How do you see that recording impacting this case?
Then I think the prosecution is going to try to make the argument that he could quickly make that connection, that just from the little bit of information he had that at Oxford High School, there was a shooting, that he went to his own home, checked on the state of that gun, found it to be missing, and made the connection must be his son. That connection, I think, is going to be the kind of aha moment the prosecution is arguing he had because of all the red flags he saw in the past leading up to his belief this must be his son being the perpetrator and not a victim. It's going to be up to the defense to push back on that in some way. They've won in some regards as to those messages from Jennifer Crumbley not coming in because it's about what red flags he saw, not what Jennifer Crumbley saw and ignored.
All right, Trevor Ault, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.